All right, let's talk some Chiefs football with Des Moses and Neal Jones. Guys, big one coming up tomorrow night. Monday Night Football, primetime lights at Arrowhead, taking on the 2-2 New Orleans Saints. Des, initial thoughts going into this one?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting one. The Saints just came off 2 games in which they lost by 1 score. I mean, single digits. They're a good football team, 2-2. They believe in themselves and their quarterback in Derek Carr. He's a guy who's has some experience in this league, won some tough games in this division. I think this will be a tough game for Kansas City, but one they should come out.
Neal, a Saints team that's 2-2, but those 2 losses were razor thin. Your thoughts about the Saints coming into town tomorrow?
Oh, I'm looking at the wins. Look how many points they put up their first 2 weeks. Their stats are, and the stats aren't everything, but their stats are actually better than the Chiefs' offense. Derek Carr has had a better season statistically than Patrick Mahomes. I think that's misleading, but the fact is he has more weapons. They have the best player on the field offensively other than at quarterback in Alvin Kamara. This guy is unbelievable. He catches the ball out of the backfield. He could play in an Andy Reid. Let's put it this way. He would be a star if he was playing for the Chiefs. You wouldn't be talking about these other running backs because he'd be the guy. He's that good at catching the football and running with it. So it's going to be a great test for the Chiefs defense. If the Chiefs offense can answer the bell, move the football, not turn it over, I think they have a great chance of winning, but they're going to have to do those things to win.
Well, let's start on the defensive side of the ball, Des. This is a New Orleans team that leads the entire NFL in scoring, 31.8 points per game. The Chiefs haven't given up 28 points in years. How is the Chiefs defense going to take advantage and produce tomorrow night?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a challenge, and some of those numbers are skewed since, the Saints scored 40-plus points in their first 2 games, but those were legit points, and those were legit scores. This team can move the ball, they can score it, and they can get hot. They got guys like Olave and Sheed who they really believe in for the target space. I just think they're a well-rounded team, and then obviously Alvin Kamara is the kicker. Whenever you can get a guy like him the ball in space, out of the backfield, in the pass game, I mean, you can get it to him a number of different ways, and he's going to make an impact on the game. He's done so this far. Kansas City will have to be clean, have to be disciplined in order to come out with a victory Monday.
Neal, what are you watching on the defensive side of the ball?
Well, I think the Chiefs are going to have to get pressure on Derek Carr. Earlier this morning on Price Chopper Game Day, Des talked about how Carr will throw the football to you if you pressure him. He has a history of that. He says he's looking forward to playing at Arrowhead Stadium. He loves playing here. Well, he's going to get a taste of it tonight from the crowd, or on Monday night with the crowd. But let's hope the Chiefs defense can get some takeaways, pressure him, take the football away, and win this football game.
The Chiefs have gotten off to slow starts. The defense giving up scores in all 4 games. The offense, as we've seen, 2 turnovers in the first quarter last week. Des, this is a team, you brought it up on Price Chopper Game Day this morning. Anytime a team plays the Chiefs, it's like their mini Super Bowl, right? They've got targets on their back. What is it going to take for Kansas City to get off to a better start than we've seen this first month? You
know what? I almost want to say just continue to do what you've been doing. Again, they come off 2 long seasons. It's a war of attrition in the National Football League. Having to play 2-3 extra games per year, the NFL adding games, it's a difficult, tall task that these guys are up against. But I'll tell you what, Kansas City has answered the bell week in and week out. Andy has gotten these guys ready to go. And you see it in a post-game conference. Andy's like, hey, do whatever we have to do, whether it's ugly, whether it's pretty, let's find a way to win.
Another week, unfortunately, another show we have to talk about a key injury. Neal, Hollywood Brown in the preseason, Isaiah Pacheco early on, now Rashee Rice missing at least 4 games on the injured reserve. Are you hitting the panic button yet offensively? How do you feel going into tomorrow?
Andy Reid does not panic, and Andy Reid sees everything as it is, not how he wants it to be. So he's not crying about the player who got hurt last week. He's always thinking ahead, particularly as a play caller and a play designer. He will try to do his X's and O's and try to build matchups so the Chiefs wide receivers, their tight ends, their backs can be isolated one-on-one in space. If he does that, he will give his guys a chance to win. Now, the offensive line is going to have to give Patrick Mahomes time to operate. Mahomes is going to have to make good decisions. The windows to throw, the target windows, are not going to be giant because you're not throwing to Hall of Fame receivers. You're throwing to, in some cases, guys, okay? They can play, but they're not real difference makers. So it's going to be incumbent that everybody's on the same page and they execute the offense well. And by the way, it helps to throw the football to the fastest man on the field. They did it last week for 54 yards, and it's not easy to do. We have seen defenses drop back so deep, they take the deep ball away, but when you can throw it over the safety's head and complete it, as Patrick Mahomes said this week, it changes everything for an offense and everything for the opposing defense.
Neal, and I think that's a great point that you mentioned. This is football. Andy Reid is one of the best in putting those guys in situations. He's done it for years and years to come. But the most important piece is this is football. Guys are going to get hurt. You got to be able to place guys in there, replace guys, some stars, some not, put some guys in there, still have success. I think Kansas City will find a way to do that.
Number 87, obviously going to be a key offensively, but looking specifically at this wide receiver room, we found out late this week Mecole Hardman is nursing a knee injury. He's now listed as questionable. So that leaves you 4 healthy receivers on this roster: Sky Moore, Justin Watson, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Xavier Worthy. Des, we'll start with you. Which guy out of that group do you think has to step up tonight and deliver?
Yeah, I think it'll be a combo, but I think Juju is the guy that stands out to me because he's the guy that could fill in for Rashee Rice right now. When I say fill in, he can run some of those tough routes. He can catch balls over the middle. He can get the yak, the yards after catch, and he can be a guy who really is a hidden piece, a hidden gem for this offense. But secondly, Kansas City has a number of tight ends. Don't forget about those guys. They got a stable at tight end. They'll be going a lot of 13, 12 personnel, getting them guys into the game, getting them into the flow, and still, they got guys who can catch and be productive.
Neal, your thoughts on the wide receiver room?
Well, I think it's a very thin room, and you're not sure of those guys who's going to make the play that wins the game. In the Super Bowl, it was Mecole Hardman. Nobody had him on their list before the game. I don't remember any of us in Las Vegas talking about, it's going to come down to a pass play to Mecole Hardman in overtime. But that's exactly what it did. You don't know what's going to happen. You never know who the GOAT or the hero might be, and it might be one of those wideouts. But I want to go back to Travis Kelce. All over the radio world, when I've been talking to people around the country, it's like, well, he had his game. Okay, great. Well, no. Why can't he have another good game? A lot of what has happened to him has been predicated by how the defense defends the Chiefs. If the Saints don't double him, I think he could have another big game and maybe even be the hero of tonight's game, making a certain singer very happy.
Yeah, I think it will be a lot of doubles, though. The Saints is one of those teams, especially defensively, they like a 4-man rush, which leaves some guys back on the back end where they can help and assist. They can bracket a guy like Travis Kelce. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. They can get after a quarterback with a 4-man. That's huge in the NFL, not having to bring extra guys, leaving some in coverage.
Well, I think
these are two of the best defenses in the NFL at adapting. You can't. Patrick Mahomes talked about the fact what you see from New Orleans is this way one week, and then it's completely different the next week. They're a lot like the Chiefs. They morph into what they need to do to stop the other team. So it's going to be a chess match for both quarterbacks going against these great defensive coordinators.
Well, I think you bring up an interesting point, Des. And Neal, let me ask you this. Are you concerned about Travis Kelce with Rashee Rice's absence? I mean, that's a guy that NFL has started really lasering in on. Now Rashee is out. You think the focus goes even more to Kelce, potentially limiting his production, or are you not worried about that?
No, I am. Des, if you're the Saints, wouldn't you take 87 away first?
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, he's the guy that can really, get the momentum, build it up, pump up the crowd, and change the whole course of the game. You got to try to stop 87, especially on a night like tonight where, you're missing your number 1 wide receiver.
Let's talk about another position group that is thinning in terms of Let's talk about another position group that is thinning out in terms of the running back room.
Yeah.
Isaiah Pacheco out for several more weeks. Clyde Edwards-Helaire listed as doubtful for tomorrow. Now you have Kareem Hunt, Carson Steele, and Samaje Perine. Carson Steele with that unfortunate fumble last week, now 2 in his 3 games as a rookie. Neal, has Andy Reid lost confidence in the rookie? Do you expect to see him a lot tonight, or do you think Hunt will take over?
Well, Des can talk to this a lot more than me, but I don't listen to what Andy Reid says because he doesn't throw his players under the bus. He just isn't. That's not his nature. So when he says, hey, after the game, we haven't lost any confidence in him, I've seen what he's done in the past. And when people fumble the football, they don't play. Running back, he can't put up with it. He cannot. He'll put up with drop passes a lot faster than he'll put up with fumbles from his running backs. If you fumble for Andy Reid, you don't play. So I think Carson Steele's on a very short leash the rest of the way.
Des, how confident are you heading into tonight if you're Steele? Obviously, he has the feedback from the coaching room heading in, but do you think we'll see him have the production load we saw before last week?
I don't think we will. I don't think Kansas City needs him in the capacity of that sense tonight because the guy is back. Kareem Hunt is back, and he looked like he's in midseason form. I can't say it enough. A guy with that type of experience here in Kansas City, the familiarity with the playbook, with the coaching staff, with his teammates, he's a guy, he's the perfect fit. What better would you want when you have a running back go down, you could bring in a guy like that who's won a Super Bowl with you? The rich keep getting richer.
Well, a massive matchup tomorrow night before the bye week, too. It's going to be a long, extended week with a loss. But if you get the win, you celebrate, and you take a 5-0 record into the bye week heading into week 7. Neal, let's finish with this. Your overarching keys to a victory tomorrow night at Arrowhead.
I think it comes down to turnovers, and that means all of you wearing red, like me and Marleah, not, unfortunately, the former Chiefs player, very marginally red tonight. But you guys wearing red out at Arrowhead need to make it tough on Derek Carr. He said this week to the media, man, I love Arrowhead. They yell at me, they do all this stuff, they get in your head, you can't think what you're doing, but boy, is it an exciting place to play. We'll make it even more exciting for him Monday night.
Des, your thoughts?
Yeah, you got to take care of the football. Patrick Mahomes and these guys just matriculate the ball down the field. You don't need huge plays. You don't need a phenomenally fast start. You just need to be yourself, play within your skin, and then defensively. Front four got to get after this Derek Carr. He's going to throw the ball up in the air. You're going to get your opportunities. The back end has to capitalize. Linebackers, DBs, go make your play.
4 games have come down to the final drives. Neal, score prediction heading into a big one against the Saints.
Chiefs by 35. No.
Okay, I love it.
If the Chiefs win, I think it'll be by less than a touchdown.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like about 5 points will do it. It'll be a weird game, but these Saints, they're a good team, and their last 2 losses have come less than a touchdown. I believe 2 and 3 points.